Thank you so much. So, Smriti is an engineer, manager, entrepreneur, teacher, and most importantly, an avid reader. She followed the traditional path of doing engineering from JNTU CEH and working as a software engineering at Infosys. And then quit that job to take up PGDM from IIM Lucknow, and she's working as a marketing manager. She then decided to follow the more experimental path to teaching at colleges and working as an editor at Eka Publishers. I guess she was going for exactly the reaction you have right now, confusion. So I guess it's okay to be confused for every one of us, but in all the various roles she donned, there's been one thing constant, and that is her love for books. And today, that's what she wants to share with all the future readers and writers of India, appreciation for classical writings. So that is Smriti for you. Smriti, are you there?
Yes, Lavanya.
Over to you, Smriti, then.
Thank you, Lavanya. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, Smriti. And we can hear you as well.
Oh, good. All right. So this is an introduction that Lavanya gave you. However, there was I just wanted to point this out that the artwork that came out from Saint Anne's, right? There were some minute errors in it, and normally it's fine because it doesn't matter much. But because everything goes online and nothing that stays on the internet is ever gone, right? So which is why I wanted you people to just make a few changes. It's not software manager at Infosys, it's software engineer. I don't think they have a software manager role. Even if they do, that was not what I was doing. And I was a marketing manager at Unisys. I did my management from IIM Lucknow, but I was a manager at Unisys. These two, I would just wanted you to make a correction, because if this stays online for too long, then people would have an objection to it. And I do not want, you guys to, I know I gave a long introduction, so it's possibly that's where there was an error in the way somebody might have interpreted it, but please do make these two changes. All right, going ahead. So already you know about me, right? So I am, the traditional, family where they ask you to choose between engineer and becoming a doctor. I chose being an engineer. I got bored of that, so I did marketing. I got bored of that. Then I started getting into teaching. Teaching was interesting, but I wanted to do something more. So I started getting into editing as well. The first book that I ever read was Three Little Pigs. That was the beginning of my reading. But however, the first book that really had an impact on me was Charles Dickens. I started reading Charles Dickens when I was in my 5th standard, a little early, but I was introduced to this book by a friend of mine, a senior person who actually decided that I would enjoy that kind of writing. And when Mehboob sir and Lavanya said that there's going to be a feature talk on classical novelists, I was like, okay, I really need to talk about this, because classic books are what I really love. Now, the first name that comes to anybody's mind when they talk about classics is obviously Charles Dickens. And thereafter, if you think a little more, you get a lot of names, but most of those names that you get are going to be typically English writers, right? There are very few Indian writers which feature on the list. So what I wanted to talk about an Indian writer. However, I wanted to choose an Indian writer who wrote in English. Right? There are a lot of Indian writers who have written in multiple languages. There are very good books in different, in different languages, Indian languages. We have lovely books in Tamil, Bengali. We have Hindi writers. However, when it comes to English writers, right? The first true English writers of Indian origin, we were able to see it only in the 20th century. And the three people who actually, the four people who were actually responsible for who were at this time prominent writers, was R.K. Narayan, Raja Rao, Mulk Raj Anand, and many a times we will leave Ahmad Ali out because after partition, Ahmad Ali went to Pakistan. But I'm going to include him here as well because all of these people had the same upbringing. So this is a little history about them. You can look at these. You'll notice that all of these, right? Mulk Raj Anand was born in 1905. All of these were born in early 1900s, and they were there throughout the 20th century. Now, these writers had two things that affected their writing. First, they were born in a country which was, they were born in British India, right? And the time when they were born, there was electrifying energy where everybody was talking about independence. They were born during the eras of world wars, the World War I and the World War II. There was poverty everywhere. The social differences between the different classes were high. So all of these people went to schools which were English medium schools. So they were exposed to both the Indian cultures, the traditions that they saw, the lives that they saw in India, as well as they were exposed to the writings of the Western world and the ideologies of the Western world. This is what formed Mulk Raj Anand's ideas as well. So he was born to a coppersmith, the Kshatriya clan. And there's a reason why I'm mentioning this. Normally, we don't talk about caste because it's supposed to be a topic that is not very civilized. But there's a reason why I'm talking about it. He was born, his father was a soldier. Though he was born in a caste of coppersmith, his father was a soldier. So his entire education happened, or his entire life, he lived in an area of cantonment around soldiers. And the differences in class in military is quite, the ranks are very strict and prominent, but the social life is not too different from the others. He was educated in Amritsar, India. He did his honors from there, and then he moved on to London to do his undergraduation and PhD. He worked as lecturer. He wrote for a lot of journals. He was awarded Padma Bhushan and Sahitya Akademi Award in India. There were a few things that shaped how Mulk Raj Anand actually thought and how he wrote. One, he was very active in the Indian independence movement. He was intrigued and he was influenced by Mahatma Gandhi and his principles. He wrote a lot of propaganda work. Even as when he was working in Europe, he still wrote a lot of propaganda work for India, as well as for other countries. He in Spain, and there were a lot of freedom movements and social changes happening in the countries. So he wrote even for them as well. He was also part of the Bloomsbury group. These people were considered to be the more modern and leftist kind of writers. All of these affected on how he wrote. The first book that he ever wrote was Untouchable, and that was in 1936. There is one theme that is seen throughout his writings. He has been trying. So another thing is, all of these writers, when they write in English, they know that they are writing for an international audience, not just the English speakers in India, but also for the international audience. Now, he cannot, bring the colonialism in a bad light, because then his readers will not be happy, and he will not be able to catch their glimpse. He will not be able to get their attention. Also, he cannot. He has to be sure of the traditions, because he's an Indian and he's trying to bring out the the life of the Indian people in his books. So he has to be very careful about the Indian traditions that he shows. So he has all of these writers, not just Mulk Raj Anand, but R.K. Narayan, Raja Rao. They had to have a balance between the two views. What his books talk about is the divide between rich and poor. If you take nothing else out of his book, you have to really notice that he talks about the differences between the people who who are rich and the people who are poor. It doesn't matter what religion you come from. It doesn't matter what skin color you have. It doesn't matter which country of origin you are from. But the difference between the two, the haves and the have-nots, this is what he's trying to show in his books. All of his books actually show a very intolerant society. There is a lot of, there's a lot of imagery of sexual degradation of women that he shows. Most of his characters are imperfect, and many of them are dark. Even when he talks about somebody who's, some actions which might have been done, some people who might have done a good deed, he does not show them as a good people. He just shows them that this is one of the things that they did, and they always have an imperfection in them. Most of this character, because of this, is very, familiar to people. One thing that he was very obvious in his initial as well as later writings is the disenchantment of social structure in India. He was very vocal about it. Obviously, he had a left ideology. He was not very social. He had a lot of socialist ideas, even though it was not he was not a true socialist in that sense. However, even after all of these, right, at the end of his stories, there was always a hope. There was a hope that the society would improve, that his country and the people would improve. And that's one thing that allows us to like his books more. The first book that he wrote, The Untouchable, and that was the book that I was first introduced to of his. It's a simple story. It's just the entire story happens within the span of 24 hours. There's a young man, Bakha, and it takes us through his day. So starting from his how he wakes up, his reaction, where he stays, how he interacts with his family members, especially his father, to the work that he has to do, relationships with the other people in the society. Then his liking of the British clothing, especially, but also of the other, other habits of the Britishers. Throughout the entire book, we get to see different emotions of Bakha, right? It starts with him, his anger at his father. He gets publicly shamed in the course of the story. He gets to see kindness of Havaldar Charan Singh. Then he also gets he's also afraid when his sister is accused of accused of polluting the priest. He gets to see the fear. He also gets to see happiness when he plays cricket. We get to see that side of it of him. He is good at hockey and he plays hockey, and we see how happy he is. He scores well, so you get to see that. Then we also get to see other characters where we see that Bakha is a person who is who knows his place in the society, and who knows that he's supposed to behave in certain way, and he constantly keeps questioning why. He's angry at his situation, he's sad, he's also afraid of what's happening, yet he keeps doing what he's supposed to do. So we get to see all that. At the end, the book ends at Bakha having a hope that his situation and the situation of the people like him would change. Now, why does the story of Bakha, why is it so important? Is because Bakha is a human waste hauler, or he is one of the untouchables. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the caste system in India. It still exists, so I'd be shocked if you're not. When you read any book on caste system, they say there are 4 castes, right? However, the 4 castes being Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudras, and Vaishyas and Shudras in that particular order. And Mulk Raj Anand comes from the Kshatriya clan. However, even though he's of the higher caste, right? He's born out of higher caste. He actually experiences in his own life. He experiences let's say, Um, uh, okay, so the book Untouchables, he started. It was because of one tragic incident in his life. Mulk Raj Anand had an aunt, and she was ostracized by the family. And because of that, she had to commit suicide. She did not have any source of living, and she could not live without her family. So she finally committed suicide. It's based on this particular incident in his life that he came up and he wrote the story of Untouchables. He had seen the discrimination that these people face firsthand. And that's why this topic of social discrimination based on caste was very important in almost all of his books. Now, the story of untouchability in India has always been there, and you would think that the story is not relevant anymore. However, it still is, because as recently as 2014, a report by the Human Rights Watch actually details on how untouchability is still there in this country. All of you would know the example of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who comes from one such group from Maharashtra. How when he attended school, even though he was one of the best students in the class, he could not sit inside the class. He had to sit outside. He could not drink water from from the community water source. He had to wait for somebody to pour water into his hands, because if he touched the water utensil, that would get polluted. So this has been there for a very long time in our country, and it still continues. There are laws against it, but we know that the laws only work when people at the local level actually employ them. So that was the story why that Mulk Raj Anand wanted to bring out in the book Untouchable. The Untouchable book actually ends at a hopeful situation when he actually depicts Mahatma Gandhi coming down to the village and talking about Harijans. How Mahatma Gandhi says that he wants to be reborn as an untouchable, and that gives hope to a few people. But there are others who do not agree with this, and they believe that Mahatma Gandhi's dreams will never be fulfilled. So Bakha, he gets to hear both sides of the discussion, but there's one thing that still gives him hope: is the advancement of flush toilets. When he hears that there's going to be a toilet which you can flush and the waste can be removed and no human intervention needs to be involved, he thinks that people like him will have a better life. That's a story of Untouchable. Now, if you come back to the definition of classics, right? What classics are? Now, classic books are normally any book which are important in a society, which are still relevant and which are really fresh, in the sense the stories that you read, you can actually imagine people experiencing it. Untouchable, because of this reason, is a classic in my view, and for no reason. For no other reason but that I think Mulk Raj Anand has been called as India's Charles Dickens. Mulk Raj Anand was friends with a lot of famous writers of that time. E.M. Forrester, he was also friends with Wells. His book, Untouchable, was prefaced by E.M. Forrester. And when the book came out initially, a lot of European press criticized it, saying that it was a dirty work. In fact, E.M. Forrester, in his preface, if you notice, he had actually mentioned that a lot of people would not be able to understand this and would consider this to be a unclean work. But he puts on a case that through all the situational situational dirtiness, at the end of the book, what comes out is a really clean work. And I guess because of that, the book actually gained popularity much later. It was translated into many languages, and it remains his, if not the best, but one of the best books of all times. these are other books of Mulk Raj Anand that you could look at. And that's it from my side. I have tried not to give the plot of the story much because I know most of you as English majors might be reading this in your, in your course. And I don't want to give you a free hand or complete explanation on the story. Also, I personally don't like when somebody gives me the entire story. I just want the reason why I need to read the book and not the entire story. So I've tried to maintain, hopefully, I have not given you the entire plot in the first hand. Any questions that you have on this author or on this book? We could take it now. Lavanya?
Yes, Smriti, we can take a few questions. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
girls, anyone has any questions? But before we go to the questions and Smriti answers them, I just have a question. I see a participant name called Dr. Chandan Mishra.
Yeah.
Can I know who is Chandan Mishra? Are you from St. Anne's College? Or because Chandan Mishra is not a Hydro member as well. So just wanted to know.
Hello.
Yeah, okay. Hi.
Hi.
So are you St. Anne's student?
No. Actually, I got it. I thought it's for researchers, so I just connected for the session.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
But could you give a little bit introduction about yourself so that we know?
Yes, I am a faculty from Patagala College, Mumbai.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And from whom did you get this?
No, I'm connected from long back in literature field. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So let's go back to the session and yeah. So girls, do you have any questions for Smriti? But Smriti, a valid point made. So actually when you started the session, you said whenever the topic comes about classical authors, people generally think about English authors. And we being Indian,
Yes.
we don't read our own authors who have like absolute language skills and they have painted India in such a beautiful, like partition stories and all that. We don't make an effort to read. So after hearing to your session, I was inspired and I've added this book Untouchables to my to-do reading list. I do want to read Indian authors and I'll definitely read Anand Rajmal. Yeah. So thank you for that.
All
Yes,
right,
girl?
Lavanya.
Yeah. Girls, anyone? Questions? Or even Hydro members if you have questions? No one has any questions? Christ.
Has anybody read any Indian authors, let alone Mulk Raj Anand, but any Indian author?
Come on, this you should answer. Girls.
At least Arundhati Roy?
Can we get an yes at least?
I
guess people don't know.
Yeah, I think they don't want to unmute themselves.
Okay. But not only
All right,
Arundhati
so
Roy-
I just wanted.
Yeah, yes, Smriti, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell everybody that a lot of Indian authors don't come to your mind when you talk about classics because often classic books are confused with Western canons, right? Western canons are books which have a lot of features similar to classics, except that they're important to Western audience. Indian books might not be that interested, might not always appeal to them. Though in recent books, at least in the 21st century books, there have been stories about something that would appeal to everybody. But a lot of Indian English authors, I guess, write about the lives and the society of India, which is why I think many people do not, even if they read it, they like it, they don't, at least the Western audience does not connect with it much. Which is why it's important for Indian audiences to read them at least once. And most of these books are not very lengthy. I read a Charles Dickens Fifth Standard. I remember I took a month to finish it. It was lengthy. It's very descriptive. These books are descriptive, but they're not very lengthy because they are only trying to show one aspect of society. For example, the book Coolie talks about a 14-year-old orphan who has to work as a daily laborer, and as a result of the things that happens to him, how he's mistreated by people, he finally succumbs to death. So that's another story which is sad. I know it is sad, but when you get to see, at least in the initial stages, you get to see a boy who's not aware of how difficult his life is going to be, but he's very hopeful. And most of these emotions are very subtle. There's one word very often used in the book, untouchable, Tommies, which that's a word they use for white people or the Britishers, right? Tom, a very common English name, so they are called Tommies. So this is a very subtle kind of writing that you find in these books, and you'll appreciate it if you read it. So I'd suggest, because these books they don't take much time to read, just go through a few of them. You'll be surprised how relevant most of these books are still. I mean, it's been over over 100 years, but the things that these people talk about, Ahmad Ali talks about Muslim lives in India and how the British changed it. That's still relevant. R.K. Narayan talks about the social structures within the families. Swami and friends talk about how a small kid goes to school and he is gained. That's still relevant, right? So these books are still relevant to our society because our society has changed very slowly. So no questions, it's fine. I understand it was a very superfluous touch of these topics. So maybe if we had an in-depth talk about one novel, maybe. But I'd still suggest you guys to read this. And I hope even if 5 of you decide to read one of these Indian authors, I'd be happy, and I would consider this talk a success. Thank you, guys. That's it from me.
Thank you, Smriti. That was a wonderful session, and I hope more and more people read about Indian authors, and especially Anand.